I'm going to show you some of my favorite sewing tools and how they are going to help you in your sewing. These are the same tools that I use every single day when I'm sewing, and I know they're going to get you great results. So let me show you how to use them, and let me show you why you might think about getting some yourself. Let's do this. Hey guys, it's Elizabeth from ElizabethMavis.com, helping you sew something creative. If this is your first time here, thank you for coming, and I know it's been a long time since I made a video, but I'm here and I am not going anywhere anytime soon. So hopefully I can get back into this groove of making videos and all of that jazz. But today I want to talk about my favorite sewing tools that I use really pretty much continually. So I don't use all of them on the same day, but I use all of them very, very regularly. So the first one that I want to talk to you about is a pair of embroidery scissors. These are just simple little embroidery scissors. Think mine are the Ginger Storks, so the kind of classic sort of thing. But I use them all the time. The reason why I have them on a string around my neck is because I use them to clip threads whenever I'm sewing. So I don't have to go hunting around for little thread snips or something like that. And two, I like these better than the thread snips because those have really, really sharp blades, and because they're always open, I think they're kind of scary. So I like these embroidery scissors because they're just a little less fearsome, but also the really cool thing about them is that you can use them like you would a seam ripper. So instead of having to hunt around for a seam ripper, I can use these instead. So I can kind of get in there underneath the stitch, and the tips are really, really narrow, so you can put them underneath something and just pull out your thread, and then just pull out your seam that you're working on if something goes awry. So it actually can be a good alternative to a seam ripper, and I like it instead of a seam ripper most of the time because it doesn't damage your fabric at all. So if you're working with something that's really, really delicate, sometimes you can run the risk with the seam ripper of making holes in your fabric. I certainly have made my share of holes with them. So I like these. They work well for me. They might not work as well for you as a seam ripper, but they're awesome for clipping threads, and because they're around your neck, they're always there. They're always there. So I always have to sew with these. Always, always, always. So the second thing that I'm going to show you is my tailor's ham. First of all, it's called a ham, so that's amazing, right? But also, it's this funky shaped little thing. It's very, very heavy because it's filled with sawdust. So it's quite sturdy, and the cool thing about this is that if you can see, it's not level. So usually when you're pressing on an ironing board, it's flat. Well, not everything that we sew is flat, right? Most of the seams that we sew for garments have some kind of curve built into them. So especially you think about a collar or something like that it's got a curve around your neck. So you could press it on a flat surface, but you're not going to build in that curvature into the neck. So this is really important. So hams are really important if you do a lot of tailoring work or just anything. It's just going to give you a much more beautiful seam. I love tailor's hams for circle skirts or anything like a shirt tail hem, anything that's got a curved edge to it. It's a lot easier to press it on a ham than it is on a flat. It's just a lot easier to manipulate the fabric and get a nicer hem. But when you go to press this, and I'm gonna get a close up too in a second so you can see this a little bit better. But say I go to press this, I'm gonna take my ham and I am going to make it like it's a little collar there, and then I can just steam it and kind of I can pin this in place and steam it with my iron and just let it sit here and dry, and then that shape is going to be built into the neck now. And I like to use the ham in conjunction with the point presser / clapper. So this is actually two tools in one, so bonus, right? You can find clappers by themselves. It's basically just a piece of hardwood. And I know that you can use scrap wood that you have just hanging around your garage. That works really well. The idea with the clapper is that you press a seam and then you hold it over the seam and then just hold it until it cools off and kind of dries. So absolutely essential when you're working with denim, when you're working with wool, anything that just is heavy and thick and really hard to press down really, really well. It's gonna hold that steam in there and get you a really, really nice, beautiful pressed seam. You can overdo this. You can overpress it with these things. So use your discretion. Although I will say, and I will admit to having some bad days and going to whack some seams pretty hard with some denim. So it can be a fun tool too if you're having a bad day. But in general, don't whack your seams. The point presser part of this is kind of attached to the clapper. Not all clappers have this, but this is really awesome. Again, it's got this nice fine point on it, and it's really great when you need to press out the corners for collars. So if I turn this back inside out, I've got my collar seam there, and I can only go so far, right? If I go to press this on a flat surface. But my nice little pointy thing here, I can put the point presser all the way into that corner, and then I can press that seam really, really nice and open with my iron over the top of that point presser and get all the way into that corner, so you can get a really, really nice press on your collar before you flip it. So really, really valuable tool. It's a twofer. Can't beat that. The coolest looking tool that I have is this. This is called a SIMFLEX. And the idea behind the SIMFLEX is that it helps you mark buttonholes really evenly. If you've ever used a tissue pattern before and marked buttons with it, you know that sometimes the tissue can kind of shift a little bit. So your center front might be a little off, or one buttonhole might be a slightly further off from the thing. You can see it's very, very sturdy, and wherever one goes, the rest of them go evenly. So there's even space between your buttonholes. And let me show you a close-up of this on a little top for my daughter, and I'll show you how you can mark with this guy. So here I have my little shirt for my daughter, and I've got my SIMFLEX all ready to go. And I'm going to grab my ruler here. The bottom button we want to place about 3 to 4 inches from the bottom of the shirt. In this case, since it's such a small shirt, I'm going to mark it at 3 inches. And I'm just using a washable marker to do that because I can see it really well. I've already marked the center front with chalk, which is a little hard to see there, but the center front line is marked vertically from top to bottom. So go ahead and do that on your shirt. You could use with chalk, whatever it is that you want to see. And then the top button we want to place 1/2 the width of the button plus 1/8 of an inch. So in my case, that is 3/8 of an inch from the top. And then I'm just going to stretch out the SIMFLEX so that the top button and the bottom button are matching. And I'm going to put a little mark there. So I've got 5 buttons, and I'm just stretching it out so that I can put a mark at each of those places with the little slots there. And then I did the same thing for the other side of the button, although I'm going to double check before I sew on my buttons when I get there. So I already put my buttonholes in, as you can see, and I'm just double checking to make sure that I have those buttons in the right place. I've already double checked, but I just wanted to show you. And I've sewed all but the last button in there, and I'm just double checking to make sure that those buttons are in the right place. You can see that the pins are right at the top of the button, so that the SIMFLEX actually did a really great job of being right in the right spot. And I'm just going to sew on the last of my buttons, and this little top is going to be done. Yay! It's so super cute. This is fabric that I shibori dyed, and these were the samples left over from another project. So using up all of my little scraps so I can make this cute little top. But that's pretty much how the SIMFLEX works. So it's really simple to use and just a great little tool for buttonholes, and super accurate, and yeah, really easy to use. Love it! Weird side note, I did find one at an antique mart the other day, so that was really weird. I didn't pick it up since I already had this one, but I think I should have. Oh well. So the last tool that I want to show you is kind of a set of tools. This is the Turn It All tubes, and there's several different versions of these. I know there's the fast turn set. The fast turn set is, I think, for some reason, it's always really, really expensive. It's basically a set of straws, and they're different diameter. And what these allow you to do is to turn tubes inside out. If you've ever sat there and tried some of the other tools that are out there to turn like spaghetti straps, it can be really, really frustrating. I know I have one and I've sort of almost gotten the hang of it, but I still always use these almost all the time instead because they just work really, really well. I like these. I like this particular set because they're really quite sturdy. I know I have boba straws from, from boba tea, and I have an Asian market that's really close by, so I can actually buy these straws by themselves. And you can use this to turn tubes, but after a couple of times, they kind of split on you, so it's not really a good long-term solution. It's a good solution if you want to be replacing straws all the time. I've got my tube in there. I'm going to take my dowel and I'm literally just going to do that. Ta-da! It's all turned. So it's so fast. I know that when I was a kid, my mom, we made a lot of scrunchies when I was just learning to sew, and my mom taught me to turn it out by using a safety pin and just brute force. And I remember just spending like an hour on one little scrunchie and my fingers hurt so bad after that. So I saw this and I used it the first time and I was like, ah, I love this, it's amazing. So those are my favorite sewing tools, and again, I said I use them literally all the time in my sewing. And I want to know what kind of sewing tools are the ones that you have to have, that you absolutely must have. So tell me in the comments which are the tools that you would take to the desert island if you could sew and it had power enough that you could use your sewing machine or a treadle. You would be really fancy. I don't know how you're getting that on a boat. Anyway, let me know in the comments. I wrote a big post on my blog about other sewing tools, so more than just these ones. So go check that out too if you're interested. I will drop the link there. But thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'm making more videos and that's what's going on here. And I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Share it out, give it a like, all the things. Talk to you later. Bye.